Good afternoon. This is a quick chat with John Wombell in Strathpeffer about the spirit of the soil. So, John, would you like to tell us a bit about your background and how you came to be in Lochaber?
Well, I happened to marry a young lady from Aberdeen who we met at college, and we came north to Morrisher in 1968, and we had a market garden and fruit farm there for 20 years. Then I went into local government, but we still kept our family base in Moray, near Lochaber's, and in the interim we started holidaying and doing conservation work at Lochaber, and got to know the estate very well there. And a piece of land came up for sale in Glengarry, which we managed to buy. And when I took early retirement in 1996, we moved to Glengarry, built a house.
And you became involved with Lochaber Environmental Group?
Yes, I got bored and I started doing a little job for the council in Fort William, and then got involved with Lochaber Environmental Group, doing research into, it was the initial scheme I looked into was when we were going to burn everything and make energy out of it.
Oh, right. Things have changed since then.
And then I got another job and you took over the leg project, if I remember right.
Yes. So it was about 4 years into leg that we produced Spirit of the Soil. So could you explain what was the aim of the research behind Spirit of the Soil?
It was to not only do desk research, looking at some of the writings from the 18th century, but to start interviewing retired head gardeners and crofters in Lochaber, trying to find out what the traditional manuring systems were that they were using, and whether they were composting, and how they composted and how successful it was, and how they improved soil fertility and produced food.
From your point of view, what were some of the highlights of doing this research?
Well, the highlights were reading some of these old tomes that were secured away in the West Highland Museum's library. We had one very memorable visit to Edinburgh, where we had access to Professor Sandy Fenton's work, which was very illuminating. And then, if I remember right, you did quite a few recordings, audio recordings with crofters on the West Coast, in the Arisaig area. And I went round interviewing these retired head gardeners.
Yes.
And we learnt such a lot.
Yes.
And some of the things I learnt then, I still use their methods today.
I think you spoke to people at Ardgour, did you, in Kingairloch?
Yes, third generation head gardener retired head gardener at Ardgour, and the newly retired head gardener at Kingairloch, and my next door neighbour at the time at Manerigi, who'd been the head shepherd at Kingairloch. And over the period we built up a wealth of information as to the way things were in the early 20th century. And the likes of Ardgour, a third generation head gardener, so handed down from father to son how to make leaf mould on a big scale.
Yeah. How did he go about that then?
Well, at Ardgour they had a series of bins, like small silage storage areas dotted around the drives, and they had this 4 or 5 year cycle of filling the bins up. They added the ditch scrapings to the leaves they collected every year.
So it's a long process. It's not
Yes, it's not short term because, but you produce beautiful stuff. And I remember being told that they were shredding it and sieving it and actually using it as compost in the walled garden for sowing seeds and potting and wonderful
terrific,
stuff.
Terrific. Do you think these historical experiences are still relevant today? For
Yes,
what we're trying to do in
completely
Lochaber?
relevant because I mean some of the ideas still work. So and it's not rocket science. Making compost is not difficult. You've just got to use what you've got to hand.
Yeah. I think some of the statistics in the book show how much produce there was in the area, even back into the middle of the last century. And we've obviously been on a drive to try and increase local food growing. I don't know what you feel of the prospects for that now and the importance of it.
Well, it's a big reversal. It will require a reversal of thinking because up until right through the 60s, 70s and up to about 1980, I would say Lochaber was self-sufficient in potatoes and root vegetables. And then farmers and crofters got lazy. It was much easier to turn the land over to sheep, stop ploughing.
And tourists.
And cattle and tourists, and production just fell off the cliff edge. Simple as that.
Yeah. Although there are signs of local produce coming back again now.
Yes, well, I mean the land's still there. It's and there are some good decent soil in Lochaber. There's no reason why food production on a local basis, commercial basis, shouldn't be revived.
Grand. Okay. Well, thanks very much, John, for
Pleasure.
doing this work for us, and let's hope we can spread it around with the new edition.
It was an absolute joy doing the research, and of course I got very involved in archaeological research fieldwork at the same time, and it was very gratifying to be doing archaeological research in the field at the same time as doing the work for LEG, and it all tied in. We were finding field evidence of cow yards and rig and furrow of different sorts. It all came together very nicely.
There's a lot more that could be done in the area, isn't there?
Oh, a huge amount. It's anybody with a bit of land or a postage stamp of back garden should give it a go. Just watch your costs, that's all.
Yeah.
Don't overcapitalise. Keep it simple.
Good. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure.